Weyes Blood and In the Darkness, Hearts Aglow, album review, let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this new album from Weyes Blood, aka Miss Natalie Merring. But before I do, just wanted to give you a quick few channel updates for the end of the year, because honestly, I'm slowly winding things down. I only have a few more reviews I'm going to be doing this year. I'm going to be chatting about the new albums from Elder, as well as the final album from White Lung. Also, there is that new Crosses EP I want to chat about in a few weeks, and apparently we've been all bad boys, girls, and Santa is bringing us one last Weezer EP, so we'll be chatting about that too. But outside of that, late December, expect to see my lists. I'm doing best albums of the year, singles of the year, EPs of the year, and I am mixing things up this year and doing my least favorite albums of the year as well. Cool? Cool. Alright, that being said, let's chat about this new album from Weyes Blood, aka Natalie Merring. Like I said, she is a California-based modern Baroque pop and chamber pop singer, and in her early days, it wasn't that crazy about her stuff. Like her debut album, The Outside Room, I thought it was a little too out there for me. I mean, I'm well aware of her roots in the more experimental and abrasive side of music, but this to me just seemed a little all over the place and a little too out there. And I just didn't see the full picture at the end of the day, but I did really get on board with her follow-up album, The Innocents. This was a throwback album of all sorts, with nods to 60s folk, 70s radio rock. But the real spectacle here was Natalie's vocals and her songwriting, which had done a massive leap since her debut. Now, her follow-up album, Front Row Seat to Earth, I did like it. A lot of people were obsessed with this album, and I did enjoy it. But it was much more of a leap into chamber pop and Baroque pop, the more progressive side of things, and I felt like at the end of the day, while there was a great core to this album, Natalie was still finding her footing in the Baroque pop world. But with her last album, Titanic Rising, Natalie grabbed my heart and has yet to let it go. I mean, quote me on this, it's one of the most beautiful albums of the last decade. It is a great example of modern Baroque pop, chamber pop, progressive pop. Her songwriting, her vocals, the production is immaculate. It is fantastic. And leading up to this album, I have been all sorts of excited because she's been dropping some great singles like Grapevine and God Turned Me Into a Flower. Let's chat about this thing. This album starts off with It's Not Just Me, It's Everybody, and where else would this album start? This is an absolutely heavenly stripped down piano ballad, and I swear, I feel like I'm going crazy saying it, but I would swear that her vocals have even gotten better. There's something so incredibly intoxicating about Natalie's vocals. They come on and I just instantly am in a good mood and just feeling all warm and fuzzy. It's filled with so much love and life, and at the same time, she's doing a really different thing on a lot of tracks on this album, and that is using her vocals and her very dreamy Baroque pop to kind of use it as a beacon for this message. It's beautiful, but it's also a plea, and it's done really well. I don't even mind that it's over 6 minutes long. As a matter of fact, a lot of tracks on this album are. Then we have Children of the Empire, and wow, deep cut. This track is awesome. This track is good enough to be a single, and it's easily one of my favorite tracks here. I love the very quaint, stripped down, old school singer-songwriter vibes of this track. It's something she's always done well. It's just so whimsical at the end of the day, and how can I be in a bad mood listening to this? I mean, this album overall is a much more human release to the sort of spacey and psychedelic Titanic Rising, which, at the end of the day does upset me, maybe a little bit, but Natalie has stolen my heart, and this is just another reason for it. This is a triumph of a deep cut. And if you're looking for a standalone track, look no further than Grapevine. I think it's the best single here. This is an absolutely breathtaking track with Natalie sounding like a damn prophet in the midst of this very moody, stripped down, dreamy atmosphere. And the attention to detail in these lyrics makes it so visual. This track is absolutely awesome. On the other hand, God Turned Me Into a Flower is one of the most stripped down tracks here. It is all Natalie and some very low, very lonely sounding, very dreary synths. And her vocals alone, just wow. But this track also does such a great job of just highlighting how great of a songwriter Natalie has become. This track is absolutely beautiful and heartfelt and like painfully human at times. And Hearts Aglow, this track is so easy to get lost in. The use of ambient sound effects on this track are really tasteful, maybe not 100% necessary, but it gives this album a little bit more of a cinematic edge, which is something that I'll always enjoy. And her vocals here, once again, they are fantastic. This whole track is just a build up to this big, larger-than-life chorus, and that's the way it should be. And I do have to say, the 70s singer-songwriter vibes are here in effect, and they are bigger than ever, but that's not an issue. Yeah, Natalie Dunn did it again. This track, this album is so beautiful, and it just warms my heart and just makes me want to listen to it immediately again as soon as it's over. I don't have a lot of bad to report here. I mean, I'm not going to dwell very long on End in the Darkness as an interlude. It's just so short. I mean, I don't think it's necessary, but it's not exactly bad either. And shockingly, I think a given thing as a finale is easily one of the weakest tracks here. Like, of all the tracks on this album, I feel like it's the least inspired. Like, yeah, okay, the vocals are great, lyrically it's not that bad either, but with so many of the bolder, bigger statements on this album, this sounds kind of like an afterthought. Outside of that, though, thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Weyes Blood, for putting out what's probably going to be the most beautiful album you'll hear all year. Twin Flame is really sharp. I mean, I heard that drum machine kick in and I got a little worried. I feel like that would usually detract from Natalie's music, but this sounds like her singing over like one of the best beach house tracks you've never heard. It's absolutely hypnotic. It's branching out into dream pop, which is not a bad thing at all. And the result is sweet on the ears, very colorful, rich in texture, just another knockout. And in Holy Flux, I think this is exactly how you do an interlude on a Weyes Blood album. It's certainly out there, but it's just like this swirling, whimsical, kaleidoscopic interlude that doesn't overstay its welcome, but does remind you of just how far she can push her sound. And to wrap things up, the worst is done. Late in the album, this is a sound from Natalie I want to hear a lot more of, because I think it's one of the best tracks here. It's upbeat and it's folky, but it's still kind of on that progressive pop sound. Like, while I've loved so much of this album, I did need a little bit of a shift. And that's what we get here, and I'm really happy it's here. Like I said, I'd love to hear more of this sound in the future. Yeah, at the end of the day, come on, guys. This is easily one of the most beautiful, most textured, most beautifully performed vocal-wise albums of the year. The production is stellar. Her thoughts are coherent. She's using her music as more of a message than ever. And while it's not as out there and spacey as Titanic Rising, Weyes Blood is onto something so perfect right now. And I can't be pissed off listening to this album. I can't help but just feel full of life and love and just get swept up and hypnotized in her performances on almost every single track. That said, I'm feeling a light 9 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.